All right, today we are going to talk about the one thing that can completely change how you sound in English. We're going to unlock the secret to sounding way more natural and fluent. So, if you've ever felt like your English is just a little bit stiff, this one is for you.
So let me ask you a question. Does this feel familiar? You've learned the grammar, you know a ton of words, but when you actually go to speak, something just feels off. Kind of stiff, maybe even a little robotic. Trust me, you are not alone, and the fix is way easier than you think.
See, here's the secret. Sounding natural isn't about memorizing a dictionary, not at all. It's about having the right tools for the job. It's knowing which specific phrases to pull out to get something specific done in a conversation. So what is this secret weapon for fluent, confident English? Okay, let's dive in and take a closer look.
It's called functional language, and that sounds way more technical than it actually is. Just think of them as little pre-packaged phrases, where each one has a specific job, a specific function. They're the shortcuts you use to manage a conversation without having to build every sentence from scratch.
You know, the best way to think about them is as conversational keys. Every phrase unlocks a different door. There's a key for asking a question politely, a key for sharing your opinion clearly, and even a key for disagreeing without starting a fight.
So let's get practical. Let's start building your toolkit with some of the most important keys you're going to need for just everyday situations. First up, asking for information. Now, instead of just blurting out a question, you could start with something like, "Could you please explain?" or "Do you know where?" These phrases just soften your whole approach. It makes things feel way more natural and polite. It's kind of like saying, "Hey, I could use your help here."
Okay, now let's talk about expressing your opinion. When you use a phrase like, "in my view," or "as far as I'm concerned," you're sending a clear signal that what comes next is your personal perspective. It just makes your communication so much clearer and more respectful.
Now, what's really interesting is how a tiny change in your words can completely change the feel of a request. So instead of a direct command like "open the window," try "would you mind opening the window?" See that? It goes from being a demand to a polite, collaborative request. It's a game changer. Okay, let's take these tools and bring them into the office, right? Let's see how functional language can really boost your confidence at work, where clear communication is everything.
So you're in a meeting. Instead of just stating your idea as a fact, you can use phrases like, "Why don't we?" or "How about trying this?" This opens up the floor for discussion. It presents your idea as something for the whole team to consider, which just sounds way more collaborative.
And this might be one of the most important professional skills you can learn, how to disagree politely. Look at the left side. That's wrong. That's a conversation killer. But on the right, phrases like "I see your point," but show you're actually listening and you respect their idea even if you have a different one. And hey, if you're ever feeling a little lost in a meeting, don't be afraid to ask for clarification. Using a phrase like, "What do you mean by that?" isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're paying attention and you're committed to understanding. It's a total power move. Okay, so we've got the tools. We have the phrases. But how do we actually use them so they sound natural and not like we're just reading off a list? Well, functional language actually makes your communication much more direct and efficient. Just look at this example. The before sentence is, well, it's clunky. The after version, "in my opinion, this is correct," just gets right to the point. It sounds so much more confident and clear. And here it is. This is the single most important rule to remember. Put the functional phrase at the very beginning of your sentence. It's like a little signpost that tells your listener what's coming next: an opinion, a suggestion, a question. It makes it so much easier for them to follow along. Ready to give it a shot? Let's get you started with a few key phrases that you can literally begin using today. Here you go, your starter pack. Honestly, if you just master these 3 super versatile phrases, one for suggesting, one for disagreeing, and one for asking questions, you will immediately notice a huge difference in how your conversations feel. And please, remember, this is not about memorizing hundreds of expressions. That's not the goal. The real goal is to master just a handful of these powerful phrases so they become an automatic, totally natural part of how you speak English. So, I'll leave you with this question. In your very next English conversation, which one of these conversational keys are you going to use to unlock it?